everyone, welcome. My name is Ebony Chambers and I'm a national consultant with Building Bridges Initiative. I'm also Chief Family and Youth Partnership Officer with Stanford Sierra Youth and Families in California. With me, I have Rob Terradin, and he is the former director with Cutchin's Program for Children and Families, specifically the Three Rivers Residential Program. And today we're here to talk about fiscal implications. Fun topic, right? And so, Rob, I'm hoping you can share as it relates to residential programs, what have been the fiscal implications of having staff work with families and their homes and in their homes and communities? And how have you addressed these?
Yeah, it can, to fulfill your actual dreams can be very expensive. You want to support families in transportation, you want to free up staff to go to their homes, and they may live far away. There's no getting around that. It can be expensive to do this the way you want to do it. So really what it has to do with is being super clever, if you can be, and deciding it's important, you know. At our program, we had we had embraced trauma-informed care in general, and restraint reduction in particular, and had shifted a lot of money that what there was to shift to things that supported, say, fun activities off grounds, on grounds, and other kinds of stuff that was supporting, say, positive mood for children, but it wasn't necessarily focused on building bridges, family integration part. So we actually kind of undid that to some extent and started freeing up money to for transportation in particular, but also staffing to go into homes. And one thing we discovered was that it was really costly to have staff doing all this driving, and so we invented a system for the parents to submit travel vouchers, just like we do. So when they came to a meeting or they come to get their kid for the weekend, they could put in, if they lived a certain distance from the program, they could put in a travel voucher, and we still do that. And that was quite huge. I mean, for some families, it started to be still kind of expensive, but it was a very successful choice to make. And at some point, we were running out of money. We had to reduce the cents per mile we were doing, but it's still a practice. A lot of it just has to do with, when I was sort of training on being a leader, I was taught about budgeting, and, they always said, don't decide what you can do based on what's in the budget, write the budget so you can do what you believe in. So that's the kind of mantra I kept trying to work with was, to the extent that I have to, fix the broken things and feed the kids, but to the extent that there's discretionary money, can I move it to the stuff that I care most about? And then when, let's say staff would say, well, we can't be in two places at once. You want us to go to this home and you want us to go to that home. So we would go back to the clinicians and say, can you work with these families so that they don't overlap? So this one can be in the morning, one can be in the afternoon, and staff don't have to be in two places at once. So, but it takes a lot of will. You have to this being honest about what's possible, and then going back to the families and being honest about what's possible. And trying to be creative about that kind of stuff. One thing that came up that might matter to other people is we were trying to be efficient by having, let's say, two children in one van ride, and pay the staff would drop them off at one house and then go to the next house. Just a cautionary, not every family wants that other kid to know where they live. So we sort of learned you have to check that, is it okay if there's another kid in the van who now knows where your boy lives? Just to make sure that you're respectful that way, and whichever way it goes, it goes. But I do think it's really just about. Well, the one other thing I guess I'll say is that this isn't really our main priority is to work in the homes if possible, even though we're residential. But a kind of compromise thing that has been very effective is having parents come to the program, which generally is a lot cheaper. So I don't have to have a staff spend half a day, out in the community. The parents come for parties, they come for training, they come just to observe how the staff work with their kids. Those kind of activities can be really beneficial and don't cost a lot for us. And one thing, one of my staff did a fantastic training for the parent group where they they played Uno as a group, and she said, but pretend you're your kid and behave like your kid behaves, and I'll show you how I would handle it. And it was so successful. Everybody, I was there, and everyone was laughing, and parents writing notes like crazy, and this staff had an answer for everything. Well, what if he says this? What if they do that? What if they cheat? And she was, here's how I would handle that. Here's how I'd handle that. And it was, I was really moved by, first of all, how smart my staff was, and secondly, how educational that was for the parents and how much fun it was for everybody. So that didn't cost really anything except the parents' own gas money to get to the program. It's not as good as doing stuff in home, but it's something you can do with limited money. One other thought was my family support coordinator and I went to our board of directors and made a pitch for how important this initiative was. And they didn't have any new monies, but they just pulled out their wallets. And so the board of directors each made some donations, and we ended up with a pretty hefty family flexible support fund, something name like that, you know, I don't know, it was a couple grand anyway of money for my family support coordinator to use as she needed to do this. So it was the kind of thing you can't keep doing over and over, but you know, it's kind of outside the budget and just sort of go to the board and beg.
Thank you. That's great. And so it sounds like even, you know, appealing and engaging your board and executive leadership into the budget and into the strategies is super important, because when you have the buy-in from your board and executive leadership, it's easier to make those important changes so that families can stay engaged and we can do more community-based services. Rob, thank you again for sharing these fiscal strategies and how we can engage families.
Sure.
Thank you.